What if everything you believe about women, and by extension yourself, is only half the truth? There's a shadow lurking beneath your conscious understanding that Carl Jung uncovered, a psychological blind spot that determines the success or failure of your relationships, yet remains invisible to most men until it's too late. Today, we dive into the dangerous waters of the unconscious mind, where Jung discovered a hidden reality about women that fundamentally alters how a man experiences love, attraction, and his own masculinity. This isn't about pickup techniques or relationship tips. It's about the archetypal forces that rule your psyche, whether you recognize them or not. Jung warned that a man who fails to understand this hidden reality is doomed to a life of projection, confusion, and ultimately, profound loneliness, even when surrounded by others. The most dangerous woman in your life isn't who you think she is. She's not your partner, your mother, or any external female figure. She lives inside your own psyche, the Anima, your inner feminine soul image that shapes every interaction you have with women in the external world. When Jung spoke of the Anima, he wasn't dealing in abstractions. He was describing the most powerful unconscious force in a man's psychological makeup. This inner feminine aspect of your psyche acts as both interpreter and distorter of your experiences with women. She is the lens through which you see all women, yet you likely have no awareness of her existence. Think about your most intense attractions, your unexplainable conflicts with women, those moments when a woman's words or actions trigger an emotional response so disproportionate it bewildered even you. Jung would say, that wasn't about her at all. You were encountering your own anima. Modern psychology has repackaged these insights into attachment theory and cognitive biases, but Jung went deeper, recognizing that this wasn't just about individual psychology. It was about archetypal patterns embedded in the human collective unconscious. Here's where it gets unsettling. Until you recognize and integrate your anima, you are not really relating to women at all. You're relating to your own projections, seeing not the woman before you, but the unconscious feminine within yourself projected onto her like a film on a blank screen. This projection happens automatically, beyond your awareness. When you feel that mysterious, overwhelming attraction to someone you barely know, what Jung called the projection-making factor, your unconscious has identified a suitable hook for your anima projection. Consider this. How many of your relationships began with intense fascination only to dissolve into bewildering conflict? Jung would tell you that the initial attraction was your anima finding her mirror, while the subsequent disillusionment was reality inevitably breaking through your projection. But there's something even more profound at stake. The anima isn't just about your relationships with women. She represents your relationship with life itself, with your own emotions, intuition, and creative capacities. Jung observed that men who reject or remain unconscious of their anima often become rigid, intellectually inflexible, emotionally stunted, what we might today call toxically masculine. Not because masculinity is toxic, but because masculinity divorced from its complementary feminine aspect becomes imbalanced and destructive. The hidden pattern works like this. A man unconscious of his anima projects his inner feminine onto external women, then either idealizes or demonizes them based on how well they conform to his projection. When they inevitably fail to match his unconscious expectation, because no real woman could possibly embody another person's unconscious material perfectly, he experiences disappointment, anger, or a sense of betrayal. This cycle repeats across relationships until he awakens to the pattern. So what was Jung's warning exactly? It wasn't that women are mysterious creatures beyond understanding. It was that a man cannot truly see women clearly until he first recognizes and integrates a feminine within himself. This is a psychological work Jung called individuation, the process of recognizing and integrating the unconscious aspects of your psyche, including your anima. Without this work, you remain psychologically fragmented, projecting disowned aspects of yourself onto others, particularly women. The stages of anima development reveal the evolutionary path of a man's relationship with the feminine. In the first stage, the anima appears as Eve, representing purely biological, instinctual connections to women, often associated with the mother. Men fixated at this stage view women primarily through the lens of caretaking and physical needs. The second stage manifests as Helen of Troy, where women become objects of romantic and sexual fascination, but still lack individual depth. Men at this stage pursue women as conquests or trophies. The third stage emerges as Mary, representing the elevation of the feminine to a spiritual ideal. Here, women become vessels for spiritual projection, placed on pedestals and expected to embody purity or redemption. Only in the fourth stage, embodied by Sophia, wisdom, does a man begin to relate to women as they truly are complex, autonomous beings with their own interior worlds, neither demons nor angels, but fully human. Most men never reach this fourth stage. They remain trapped in projection, seeing in women only reflections of their own unintegrated feminine aspects, perpetually confused about why relationships feel unsatisfying or why the same patterns repeat across different partners. Jung's most profound insight was this: the quality of man's relationship with women directly reflects the quality of his relationship with his own inner feminine. A man who fears, rejects, or remains unconscious of his anima will inevitably fear, reject, or misunderstand women. The path forward requires courage, the willingness to look inward and recognize the feminine aspects of your own psyche without judgment. This means embracing qualities traditionally coded as feminine: emotional sensitivity, intuition, receptivity, connection to body and nature, the capacity for nurturing and being nurtured. When you begin this inner work, something remarkable happens. The projections gradually dissolve. You start seeing women not as mysterious others, but as fellow humans with their own complex interior lives. The compulsive search for the perfect woman who can complete you subsides as you discover completeness already within. This doesn't mean relationships become effortless. Rather, they become authentic, based on seeing and being seen rather than projecting and being projected upon. Perhaps the most radical aspect of Jung's warning is this: the qualities men often most despise or fear in women, emotional expressiveness, intuitive knowing, relational focus, are the very qualities they disown in themselves. The path to wholeness lies not in rejecting these qualities, but in recognizing them as essential aspects of your own complete humanity. So what practical wisdom can we extract from Jung's warning? First, recognize that intense, immediate attraction often signals projection rather than authentic connection. When you feel overwhelmed by attraction, pause and ask, what qualities am I seeing in this person that I've disowned in myself? Second, pay attention to patterns in your relationships with women. Recurring conflicts, disappointments, or feelings of being misunderstood often point to unresolved anima projections. Third, cultivate the feminine aspects of your own psychology, not by becoming less masculine, but by expanding your definition of masculinity to include the full spectrum of human qualities. Practice emotional literacy, develop your intuition, nurture your creativity. Finally, approach relationships not as solutions to your incompleteness, but as opportunities for mutual growth and understanding. The healthiest relationships emerge when two whole people come together, each owning both their masculine and feminine aspects. Jung's warning about the hidden reality of women is ultimately a call to wholeness, an invitation to integrate the fragmented aspects of your psyche so you can experience authentic connection with others. The greatest gift you can offer the women in your life is not your protection, provision, or even your love. It's your wholeness. A man who has done the inner work of integrating his anima doesn't need women to complete him, validate him, or serve as containers for his projections. And in that freedom from projection lies the possibility of truly seeing and loving women as they are, not as reflections of your inner feminine, but as complete beings with their own unique essence. This is a hidden reality Carl Jung warned every man to understand. The deepest mysteries of women cannot be solved by looking outward, but only by the courageous journey inward.